I thought the hardest part would be hearing the words, "You are HIV positive." But I was wrong. The real battle began after the diagnosis. After I found out, something inside me broke. Not physically, but mentally and emotionally. I became a completely different person. I was depressed, I was withdrawn, fear hanging over me like a dark cloud. I kept thinking, what if this is the beginning of the end? What if I don't have much time left? There was one thing I couldn't shake off, the belief that HIV had no cure, and that somehow meant that my life was already over. At the time, I was in school, but honestly, I stopped living as a student. I started skipping classes, not because I didn't care about education, but because I couldn't focus anymore. How do you sit in a lecture hall and think about an assignment when my mind is screaming, "You might die soon"? I would wake up some days and just stay in bed, overthinking, overanalyzing every little sensation in my body. A headache? I thought it was the virus getting worse. Feeling tired? I thought my body was shutting down. Fear became my daily companion. One of the hardest parts was the silence. No one knew about my status. Not friends, not family, not my classmates, no one. I was so scared of how people would react. I heard the stories, the judgments, the stigma, the rejection. And I wasn't ready to become that person people whispered about. So I built a wall around myself. I stopped going out. I avoided gatherings. I slowly disappeared from people's lives without them even knowing why. And the more I isolated myself, the louder my thoughts became. Sometimes I wanted to talk. I needed to talk. But instead of opening up, I did something else. While chatting with close friends, I would casually ask questions like, "What would you do if you ever tested positive to HIV?" I asked it like it was just a random conversation, but deep down, I was searching for comfort, for hope. But the response I got, they broke me even more. Some said they would rather die. Some said their world would be over. Some said they wouldn't be able to handle it. And each answer felt like a confirmation of my worst fears. And it made me think, is this how they see it? How will they see me? So I stayed quiet. People think HIV is the hardest part, but for me it wasn't. The loneliness was harder. The fear of the unknown was harder. The silence was the hardest because I was fighting, a battle no one could see. I smiled when I had to, I laughed when I was around people, but deep down I was drowning. Every day felt heavy, every night felt endless. I wasn't just afraid of the virus, I was afraid of my future. There were moments I sat alone and asked myself, why me? What did I do wrong? Will I ever live a normal life again? And sometimes I didn't have answers, but tears. But slowly something began to change. Not overnight, not instantly, but little by little I started realizing something important. I was still alive, I was still breathing. And not ill yet, I was still here. Maybe, just maybe, my story wasn't over. If you are watching this and you are going through, I want you to know this. The fear you feel is real. The loneliness is real. But it doesn't have to be the end of your story, because sometimes the hardest chapters leads to the strongest versions of ourselves. This was my life after diagnosis, the part no one talks about. But this is not where my story ends. And if you stay with me, I will show you how I found hope and strength again.